Hey, in this video, we're going to create the blockchain's Genesis block. So to understand the purpose of the Genesis block, consider that the blockchain is a chain of block objects. Each block generates its hash based off of its own data, but also the last hash of the block that came before it. But what about the first block in the chain? What should its data be? And what about its last hash value? Well, it's the first block. So how can it grab the last hash of the previous block if there's no block before it? This is why blockchains have the concept of the Genesis block. It's the origin of the blockchain, and the Genesis block is hard-coded with dummy values for its timestamp, its last hash, its data, and its hash. That way, the blockchain has something to get started based off of. And when someone actually adds the first new block to the chain, the first block can set its last hash to the hash of the Genesis block. All right, cool. Let's create this Genesis block in code. So our overall goal is to define a new function in the block class called Genesis. This Genesis function should create an instance of the block class with hard-coded values for the Genesis block. First, let's define those hard-coded values in a new file in the project called config.js. So at the root of the project, let's make this config.js file. This config.js file will serve as a place where we store hard-coded and global values. Our first global value will be an object called Genesis data. And notice that Genesis data has a funny looking syntax. It's in all caps, and when you combine words, you use an underscore. This is called the scream case syntax. And the scream case syntax is a widely used software syntax because it makes it immediately obvious that the code is using a hard-coded global value. It really grabs your attention. In this Genesis data object, we can define hard-coded values for every part of a block for the Genesis block. For the timestamp, let's make the timestamp 1. The last hash can be like 5 dashes. It's a hard-coded value, so you can really make it anything you want. The hash, to make it clear, let's call this hash 1, but again, you can make that anything you want as well. And for the data, let's make it an empty array. Nice. As the last step, let's share this Genesis data object with other files. We'll export it within an object itself. So we'll call module.export equals an object, and within here, we'll input the Genesis data. So this will have a Genesis data key within this object, and the value for that will be this Genesis data object itself. All right, cool. Now let's head back to block.test.js. First, we're gonna add a new section with a describe block. So right within the describe block at the end, well, let's add a second describe. And this will describe another group of tests for the overall block test itself. And this one is going to describe the test for a Genesis function. So the message is Genesis with a pair of parentheses itself. The second parameter to describe is still the callback function. Cool. And to start, we're going to add a new constant for this block of tests called Genesis block. Let's make a constant called Genesis block, and this time we'll camel case it. And then this is going to be the result of calling block.genesis. So not on an instance of the block, but on the block class name itself. And notice that I spelled const incorrectly, so there we go. That's why my code editor was complaining a little bit about the Genesis block, but this line is now fine. So you may be curious how we're going to be able to call the Genesis function from the block class without creating an instance of the class just yet. This is an example of calling a static function in JavaScript. Static functions are convenient when you don't need to use or change the data on a specific instance of the class, but you still want to contain some functionality within a class name itself. So that's what this Genesis function is going to be. It's going to be a static function on the block. It doesn't need to be particular to any block instance itself, but it's useful and pertinent to a block. So that's why the Genesis function is going to be contained there. All right. Now this concept is better understood in code, so we'll get to that soon. First though, let's make our first test that says it returns a block instance. So we have our it block, and the test says it returns a block instance. And then we have our second argument, which is a callback function as well. For the test, we'll have our expect statement. And this time we'll expect the Genesis block to be an instance of the block. In JavaScript, we have this instance of function, which returns a true or false value, depending on whether or not the first part of the statement is the type of the second part of the statement. So we'll expect this to equal true because we want the Genesis block to be a block instance. Now, when it comes to true or false expectations though, let's use the more idiomatic jest function, which is to be. Cool. Now for our next test, let's expect it to return the Genesis data that we defined. So as the second test for the Genesis block, we have a second it statement, and this will check whether it returns the Genesis data. The same format with a callback as the second parameter. And this time we'll expect the Genesis block itself to be equal to that Genesis data that we defined within our config.js file. Now, again, you may be curious about how this instance of this block class can be equal to a Genesis data object that isn't an instance of the block class. After all, aren't they different types of data? Well, the answer is that JavaScript implements classes as objects under the hood. So an instance of the block class with Genesis data is essentially that Genesis data object itself, because it's going to have the same properties, meaning it will have those same keys and values of the timestamp, the last hash, the hash, and the data. So now that we're using Genesis data, well, the last thing that we need to do after you have this whole describe block and all of the changes is to require the Genesis data itself. So at the top of the file, we're going to use the Genesis data, and we're going to require that from the config file. And notice that when we require it, we also surround it within a pair of curly braces to get the Genesis data, since the Genesis data was exported in an object. Cool. That completes a test for the Genesis functionality. So let's run the test suite in the command line and see how these tests go. So in the command line now, well, if you already have Jest running in the background, it's going to pick up that new test. But you can also run npm run test in the CryptoChain project to get the test to run again. And still we see the same error where block.genesis is not a function. Okay, that's great. As expected, we're getting a red test suite as with test-driven development. The next part is to get these tests to green in order to complete the Genesis functionality. And let's do that next. But do feel free to take this opportunity to implement the Genesis function yourself. Hint, you'll want to implement the static Genesis function and return a block instance that uses the Genesis data. Cool. Otherwise, if you'd rather move on with the project at a quicker pace, do go right ahead to the next video where we cover the block.genesis code.